Dear friends, tomorrow, July the 4th, is Independence Day, an American federal holiday celebrating the declaration of 13 states to be free from British rule, independent yet united. 3 years ago, I was in New York on Independence Day. I witnessed the holiday firsthand, finishing with a massive firework display while I was as tightly packed as the proverbial sardine in a public park. July the 4th, a day when Americans celebrate freedom. And for some of us in this country, tomorrow will also feel a little freer, with some restrictions being lifted, more visits being allowed, pubs and restaurants being allowed to open. Of course, for some in this country, they won't experience those new freedoms. The people of Leicester still in lockdown. Others who have lost their jobs and livelihoods because businesses have gone into administration and jobs have been lost. In the church and in our faith, we talk about freedom. John chapter 8 verses 30 to 38 talk about true discipleship. In verse 31, Jesus says, "And you will know the truth, and the truth will make you free." He continues in verse 36 to say, "So if the Son makes you free, you are free indeed." Charles Wesley writes in And Can It Be, "My chains fell off, my heart was free. I rose, went forth, and followed thee." The Americans celebrate Independence Day because they were free of British rule. Some tomorrow will celebrate being free from restrictions. But what is it that we as disciples are free from? In the John passage, Jesus talks about being slaves to sin. This is the message that Wesley is portraying in And Can It Be? "Long my imprisoned spirit lay, fast bound in sin and nature's night." As Christians, we can rejoice in no longer being a slave to sin. Eleanor Roosevelt is the longest serving First Lady in the history of the United States of America. She was described by Harry S. Truman as the First Lady of the world for her civil rights work. She reminds us that freedom makes a huge requirement on every human being. With freedom comes responsibility. As Christians, our freedom from sin comes with a huge responsibility to live free from that sin and by the ways of the kingdom, not of the world. Our responsibility is to show that the truth that sets us free is a truth that we live by. We live by God's truth. We judge what we do and say by what God in Jesus says. We do not live by the words of tabloid headlines, soundbite politicians, overpaid celebrities, social media influencers, or the gossip from the local shop. We live by Jesus Christ, who is the way and the truth and the life. All we hear in the world, we judge through the word of God. We celebrate our freedom, but we take our responsibility of not being swayed by the judgment of those whose words go against the word of God. We stand firm in the truth and challenge all that seek to destroy life through hatred, injustice, arrogance, greed, heartlessness, xenophobia, misogyny, racism, homophobia, destruction of the planet. If we don't, then we are no longer free of sin, because we collude with these sinful thoughts and practices. Discipleship brings great freedom, but huge responsibility. Amen.